Hey, I hope that you are trying to dial in to where we are as a church because we are trying to dial you in to where you are with God. He wants you to know that you are His beloved child, that that's your identity through and through, and that affects everything else you do. The problem is this, is we have a way of seeing life as from the world. And the world tells us that we are this or that because of who we know or what we own or the position we have. All these things, our position, our possessions, our pleasures, they do not define us. But the world would want us to believe that's the sum total of our identity. It affects the story we tell ourselves, and unless we seek God so He can affect the story we tell ourselves about ourselves, then the world will. If I showed up at your workplace and I went up to your boss and said, "Who are you?" He would probably say, "I'm the boss." Depending on the context of your work, he might say, "I'm the principal, I'm the manager, I own the joint." He's going to identify himself with his possession of that job, and it's going to be who he is. And then if I turned and pointed to you and said, "And who are you?" You might say, "I'm his secretary," or "I'm the teacher at the school he's the principal of," or "I'm his assistant," or "I'm the gopher. I go for whatever he wants." You would define yourself based on what you do in relationship to him. So your context oftentimes drives your story that you tell yourself about yourself. And you are, in the final analysis, a human doing. You are what you do. This is important to recognize because it is not how God defines us. God does not define us as human doings. He defines us as human beings. So, on the other hand, if I showed up at your home and I said, "Who are you?" You might say, "I'm the mother," or "I'm the father," "I'm the child." You would define yourself out of relationship. The second is closer to God's view of us than the first. The first is we are defined by being human doings. The second is we're defined by human beings in relationship to family. That's how God defines us also. 1 John chapter 3, verse 1 says it beautifully. He says, "See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God." And that is who we are. That's beautiful. That's who we are. This whole series that we're taking 5 months, that seems incredible, right? But really, it's pretty amazing. We're looking at one of our I am statements each month. I am loved was our focus last month, and it defines who we are. I am loved, I am loved. And our statement says, I am a child of God, deeply loved, completely forgiven, fully pleasing, totally accepted, chosen by Him to reflect His love and grace. That statement starts with, our whole sense of identity starts with that we are loved as His children. That's how God defines us. It starts with our being, and then it affects our doing. The deal is, I should be able to show up anywhere, work, home, play, gym, anywhere, and be first who God says I am before I'm anything else, and so should you. So when you show up at work, I hope that you're not just the boss if you own the joint. I hope you're a child of God who wants to manage and steward that job well. If you show up and you're the assistant, I hope that first you're the assistant of Jesus before you're the assistant to the boss. I hope that first you're the teacher of Christ-like character in who you are before you teach algebra to who's in front of you. I hope that you begin to recognize that who you are as a child of God is your first point of identity. Stick with us this series. Stay with us each day as we unpack a little bit more of what it looks like to be a child of God, someone who knows they're loved. And out of that deep well of love, you start being someone who does things differently. Lord Jesus, empower us to see ourselves as you see us, as your children in this world, reflecting who you are. I'll see you tomorrow.